Okay, in this video I'm going to show you some tips and tricks about sketching. Okay, here we have the home screen. So we have the home icon here. So I can select my home icon, and you can see here SolidWorks gives me a dialog box with the recent documents, and here I have different tabs. So I have the recent tab here where it displays the recent documents used in my recent sessions. And then I can select my you can go to the advanced tab, and you can also switch by selecting the templates you require. So there's no need to go back and switch and come back to select your templates. If you cancel, it goes back to the home screen. So let me start with a simple part. So I start with a part file. So as we are learning tips and tricks on sketching, let me show you some few tips and tricks on sketching. So how do I start with a sketch? So here I have my history tree. So you can see here I have my default plane. So usually users do is they go to sketch and they start selecting the sketch. So I'm just showing you some tips and tricks where you can save a lot of mouse travel. So I select my front plane, and you can see here I get a command for creating my new sketch. So this is my flyout toolbar. So on my flyout toolbars I can have some commands which are required or which I oftenly use in creating sketches. So as I select my front plane, you can see this has been a new sketch. I can create a new sketch as I click my front plane. So this flyout toolbar can also be customized. So you have to just right click the flyout toolbar, say customize, and here you have some options. As you can see here, the flyout toolbar has been displayed here. So you have the option where you can drag and drop commands into this flyout toolbar. So it is that easy to create the flyout toolbar, to customize your flyout toolbar. And another option here, what I have is I have the S key. So when I press my S key, I have a shortcut toolbar. So this shortcut toolbar is displayed at my mouse cursor. So it saves time in doing a lot of mouse travel. And here I can create a new sketch. So you can also use the option to customize and add your required commands or often used commands onto your shortcut toolbar. And also we have the mouse gestures where you can I can right click, and you can see here I can also start a new sketch by selecting on the position of my mouse gesture or my circle. So where I have customized it, so you can find mouse gestures when you go to tools and you say customize, and here you have your mouse gestures. So in the mouse gestures you can have different commands or various counts of commands onto one mouse gesture. So I have different gestures here. So in this case I have selected 8 gestures on one circle, and I have different mouse gestures for the sketch, part, assembly, and the drawing. So it is just as easy as dragging the command and dropping it into the required position you need. So you can just drag and drop whatever command you need and configure your mouse gesture. So how do I invoke my mouse gesture? I hold my right mouse button and as I move my mouse, it invokes my mouse gestures. Okay, let me start with a new sketch. So I say I select the front plane, I start with a new sketch. And here I am going to use, so let me start by drawing a circle. So I use my S key, my shortcut key. I pick my circle, and you can see here I am drawing my circle. I can use the shift key so that it snaps to the grid. So as you can see here, I press my shift key, and you see it snaps to the grid. So I have a distance of 50, I have a distance of 100, I have a distance of 150. So the shift key helps me to snap to the grid. So you can have different counts snapping to the grid. So this is one way of quickly drawing some standard sizes of entities you need. So this setting can be found in when you go to options, and when you go to document properties, I have the grid and snap settings, and in this case it has been my grid spacing is around 100 mm. So you can set it to your required size. Okay, while creating a circle, you can see here I have different options. Usually what users do is they move to options here on the property tab. So here you don't need to move to options on the property tab. You have the A key where you can select whichever option you require. So I can switch between options by using the A key from the keyboard. So I can draw my circle here. So let me draw a circle, as you can see here, and using my shortcut toolbar by pressing the S key, let me add a dimension. So I am adding a dimension to this as a diameter. Now this is a linear dimension which is added as a diameter. I have the option where I can right click and I can display this as a diameter. So I have so now it has been displayed as a diameter. Also I can right click and display this as a radius. So let me come back to the linear option. So I go to display options, I say display as diameter, and I right click this, I say display options and display as a linear, and you can see when I drag it, it takes position. So this is a linear diametric dimension. So to position this, I can click on this key and on the dimension line, and I have a blue dot where I can rotate this dimension and position it. Okay, as you can see here, this is a fully defined entity. So I have additional options here if I want to resize it. Now in this case, what I can do is I can select my dimension. I have a blue dot here at the end, and I can resize a fully defined entity. Also I have the scales, so where I can snap onto any desired value I need. So this can be achieved by going to the sketch tab and have your toggle on and off your instant 2D. Okay, now quickly let me draw a line. Let me show you some options with line. So I have my line option. So in this case I want to start by drawing a line. So I will create a line. Okay, I would like to draw a construction line. So in this case what I do is I select the line command, and here you have the option here for construction. So instead of moving your mouse onto the property tab, you have the option where you can use the tab key, and here you can see I can press the C key. So I press the C, and you can see here I have the option where I can draw a center line. So this will help me to do a symmetry. So what we see here is I have the options. So as when I draw a line, I have some options here. By pressing my tab key, I can invoke these options, and you can see here by pressing the first letter of this underlined letter, this option will be active. Okay, usually we know how to use the symmetry constraint. So usually users pick the two end lines and they pick the center line by holding the control key, and we apply the symmetry constraint. So in this case we have two options with SolidWorks to do a selection. So I can I'm going to create a window from the left to the right. So this is nothing but this is a window selection. So whatever entities come within this window selection will be selected. So these entities are wholly covered within the window. Another option is there where I can click from right to left, and in this case entities which cross the window are selected. So this is called the crossing. So we have the window and we have the crossing. So I can quickly select this by a crossing, and I have the option where I can make it symmetry. And we have other options here where you can actually I can use the option to zoom. So I can say zoom. So this is zoom out, and then I have the option here to say zoom in. So this in this case I'm using Shift Z, and I have the option here to say F to fit it onto screen. So we have also the trim tool. So okay, if I have to draw multiple lines which should not be in loop. So usually what happens when you select a line and you start drawing a line, so this continues as a loop. So these lines continue as a loop. So if I want a single line, what I can do here is I can use the line command. So I start the line command. I hold my left mouse button and I just drag and drop it. So just by holding your left mouse button without releasing it, you can just drag and drop to the required position you want, and it will create a single line. So we have some good options with trim, where I can trim unwanted lines. So in this case, I have customized my trim option onto the mouse gesture, onto the mouse gesture wheel. So here we have two options here, which is keep trim entities as construction geometry. So whatever I'm going to trim will be retained as a construction geometry or converted to a construction geometry. And then I have another option here is where ignore trimming of construction geometry. So wherever my cursor crosses the construction geometry, it will not be trimmed. So in this case, I will keep both these options on. And if you see here, I would like to trim this. And you can see here, because of this option on, it has been converted to a construction geometry. So as I pass my cursor onto on the the construction line, it does not trim the construction line. So by using these two options, you can manage your trims. Also, we have an option here for offset. So in this case, let me start with a small line. So I have a line here, and using my S key, I have the offset option here. So when I select my line, you can see here it's creating a line in both directions. So let me uncheck this bidirectional and end caps, and you can see here I have the option where I can move the line onto which side it should be offset. So I have the option for bidirectional. So I can select the bidirectional option where it will offset the line on both sides, and also I can cap the ends by using arcs or lines. And this construction geometry, the base geometry, can also be made as a construction geometry. So I can make it a construction geometry and say OK. So once finished this, I have another option. So usually what users do is they go and click on the finish sketch on the right side top corner, or you can exit the sketch. So to exit your sketch, you have another good option here, is which easy option here, where you can press your D key. So once you press your D key at the point of your cursor, you get an option where you can accept your sketch or finish your sketch, and then you can exit your sketch, cancel your sketch. So these are the options which will help you in being productive with your sketches. I hope this will be helpful to you in your routine work. Thank you.